So I guess I would address the first question to our primate. Archbishop, what will happen across the country if the vote to change the marriage canon is a yes?
I think if the vote is a yes, actually, whether it's a yes or a no.
That was going to be the next question,
yes.
So answer both.
Because it's going to be one or the other.
One or the other.
First of all, a reminder that according to the presentation with respect to the canon and any amendment of it, it would not take effect until the 1st of January the following year. And that, it seems to me, actually creates some space, which I believe the Church will need nationally and within each of our dioceses, some space for us to decide, to discern and decide how it is that we will continue to, how we will live with the outcome of the decision of the Synod. So from a General Synod point of view, it would seem to me that we are going to have to be attentive to the reality within the life of our Church that there will be, for some, whichever way this vote goes, that for some there will be profound disappointment, and for some profound hurt. There may be anger. And we will need to find a way, I think, to pastorally address all of that. I think that's one of the concerns that emerged from General Synod, particularly 2016, was how do we pastorally respond to whatever the outcome is and where everybody is on the perspective of this issue. So I think General Synod, the Council General Synod, I mean specifically, will have to address that. And we're going to need to find a way in General Synod 2019 to be noting all of the concerns that people have. And then it seems to me it will be the responsibility of the Council to address that. And then there will be obviously opportunities for dioceses post-General Synod and before January 2020 to be able to make their own particular responses. And that's diocesan prerogative. And the General Synod's responsibility, it seems to me, there is to simply continue to equip and enable those kind of conversations to go forward in a helpful kind of way.
Thank you. Bishop, maybe from the perspective of the diocese, if you could answer the same question.
I think, again, whether the answer is yes or no, that period of time between the end of General Synod and January 2020 will be a time of needing some consultation. If the answer is a yes, the way the canon is currently structured, it still requires the diocesan bishop to say whether that canon would be exercised within this diocese. And so I would need to discern that that is the way this diocese is going to move forward. This diocese has made a positive affirmation of the blessing of same-sex partnerships and the blessing of same-sex civil marriages. But it would still be a time for discerning how that might be implemented in the diocese. If the answer is a no, there still needs to be consultation and conversation about what does that mean for this diocese? And what does that mean for our pastoral response? Because I know that there is the breadth of the response of the whole Canadian Church is present here in the Diocese of Huron. And although there may be a majority on one side or the other, there will be others who are feeling the pain of whatever the decision is. And so, as Fred has said, the pastoral response is going to be critical. I think one of the things I've realized in the last few months as we've listened across the church internationally is that we really have continuing side by side two theologically defensible and understandable and opposite understandings of the sacrament of marriage. And we're still going to be in a time of long discernment, and we're going to need to live together with both of those realities in our midst. And how do we do that and continue to listen to the voice of God as that discernment moves forward? And it may mean making space for both side by side.
Speaking of those two theological streams, faithful theological streams, can you think of analogies in the past of the church where we've had a similar sort of dualistic not dualistic, but a similar two faithful way understanding, other debates that we've had in the past?
Well, certainly the ordination of women is the one that springs to mind, because we lived as a Canadian church for a long period of time where, although the national church had come to the conclusion it was a faithful development of doctrine to ordain women, there was the allowance of a conscience clause for each diocese in the country to come to that place in over time. And I believe it initially left 10 years, but it was actually rescinded sooner than that because the church had come to one mind, and every diocese did agree. I would also say that I did a study of the movement around the consideration of the remarriage of divorced persons, and I was quite shocked to discover that the very first conversations around the place of divorced persons in the church were held in the late 1800s. And it took the church until 1969 to come to a final decision that it could and would remarry divorced persons. That was 70 years of discernment of different phases and stages. So I think we do need to remember that this kind of discernment takes time, and it means living with some differing opinions together during that time.
Thank you.